You are listening to the Merchant Meetings podcast. Join us as we share the insights, successes, and failures that we and others have experienced in the small business space. So in this episode, we're going to dive into how we started the merchant media marketing business. So if you listen to the last episode, it's now February 2020. We have sold the healthy meal prep business to start our marketing business full time. Did you want to describe just some of the clients that we started off with in the marketing business?
Yeah, so transitioning from the meal prep business, we had learned quite a few lessons on how to work with small budgets. We felt pretty confident in driving foot traffic to websites or brick and mortar locations. So the Mighty Macro business was obviously an online website, and so we needed a variety of strategic organic content and paid ads to drive foot traffic to the website. And we also had the supplement retail store, where we would do online marketing and drive people into a physical location. And so we felt like relatively confident in both of those areas. And so when we were, thinking about what merchant media would look like, obviously T being the creative, creating the content, would be essentially the one servicing the business owners, and I would often be the one approaching them, sitting down with the initial meetings and speaking about how they want to move their business forward. And so we were doing that from the context of being business owners ourselves, having spent our own dollars on marketing and understanding, various business insights, especially obviously in the food space and the retail space. And so we felt confident that we could offer this service with the skill sets of both of us to business owners. And so initially, what you'll find out as a young creative or someone that wants to do social media marketing is you're not going to charge what you think you're worth based on some sort of, arbitrary factors that currently are current in the market. If people are charging $300-$400 for a reel, that does not mean that you can walk into that space and also charge the same amount. If you don't have a track record, if you are unknown, if you aren't like a commodity that people want, or that people even know about, you can't just charge those amounts. And so our philosophy was, if you're not being hired for work consistently, then it's because you're either charging too much or because no one knows about you. And so we were more than happy to actually do work for free for small businesses at the start. You're gaining a connection, you're proving that you can actually do something that's worthwhile and valuable for them, and you're gaining a portfolio. And so initially we had people that knew about us and were happy to pay like right off the bat. We had obviously our own internal stores, which we were going to continue on in. And then we had people that we were approaching or getting referred by our network. And often we would say, look, these are the prices that we've got, or we can do, 4 weeks for free, show you our value, show what we're worth. And if you think it's valuable, then we can, have a conversation about that afterwards. And so that was our initial approach to the business. But I was very confident about this business. Like out of all the ones that we've done, this was the one where I was like, no, we're going to kill it in this. I think I said to you, I'm like, we will do easily $2,000 profit a week by the end of a 3-month period. And we were certainly on track to do that. However, as T said, it was 2020 and around February, March, and that's when we started to see the first effects of COVID-19 come through, and businesses started to become very conservative and modest in their spending, and obviously some of them got locked down. And so as much as we had put contracts in place to be dealing with people and had verbal agreements and stuff like that, we were never going to hold people to those. Like this was a pretty crazy thing that was going on the world, and being small business owners, we certainly weren't going to be like, no, you said this or you've signed a contract. So we were very lenient and working with people and not holding them to any sort of agreement that they had sort of signed off on. And so, we had a lot of people that were very willing, and we were like adding people on at a relatively rapid rate, and that soon changed real quick.
So we went from having all these inquiries to absolutely none.
Yeah, and it wasn't like inquiries where it was like, oh, this is, a 1 in 10 shot. Like people were like, oh, like let's tee up a meeting so we can get you on ASAP. Like it was like with a high level of certainty, we would have reached that $2,000 sort of dollar per week profit within the I guess predicted time frame.
Yes, and in the year 2020, especially in February, there weren't too many, I guess, like social media marketing businesses out there. There were quite a few like agencies and a lot of videographers, but none, I guess, with the format that we had that we knew about. I mean,
Yeah.
I follow a lot of like I try and stay on top of the American markets and trends a lot because that eventually filters down to Australia. And that had already started booming massively over there. So even though not that I wasn't confident, but even though Steve was like, yeah, we're going to kill it, I was still, I guess, thinking, oh, the meal business brought us like a lot more money. Maybe we should still do both. But I saw that emerging market coming from America. So I did kind of have some hope. But at the beginning, we had the 2 supplement stores at the time, Blacktown and Penrith, that I was doing marketing for, which directly benefited both of us because if we could get them more customers, we could make more sales.
And we could experiment with it, which is like something that we can still do today. If we've got marketing, strategy that we want to sort of get some feedback for, we'll, obviously bring our business partners in it and say, hey, this is the reason why we think it's going to work. But we can try that, and then we can actually have these sort of test cases that we get, direct feedback from, that we put our own dollars into, and then go chat with business owners and say, hey, this is actually what really helped us. This is how I think it translates into your business.
And another client we had at the time that didn't drop off when COVID came about was a local pizza business. And it was actually so good that they stayed on with us during COVID because if you guys remember, you were probably at home being like, what can we do? Nothing, let's order takeout. So their business actually boomed during COVID. And with the addition of the social media marketing across all the platforms and paid marketing that we added in, they were doing extremely well.
Yeah, so shout out to Mark and Johanna. We appreciate you greatly because they were one of our first clients, and they stayed on for at least 1.5 years, maybe 2 years, maybe more. I think I actually sat down with Johanna one time and talked about him going and starting a second location. And the market sort of changed over that period of time. And I think now they actually only operate out of that second location because it became a more viable business given the changes in the landscape, obviously commercial rents skyrocketing and whatnot. And, being able to find people that are willing to work, which is obviously a real challenge off the back of COVID. And so that second location actually kept that business, I think, going. And I think they've actually really improved upon it. And I can't remember exactly when I talked to him, but I feel like it may even be doing just as well in terms of turnover as what both businesses were doing. Like it's actually really doing really well now. And that was awesome to see a small business really like sort of navigating, during some, navigating through some tough times and coming off the back, actually doing better than, what they were probably projecting to do.
Definitely. And one thing that you're probably thinking is, okay, these guys did a supplement store and then they did marketing for a supplement store. They had a meal prep business and then now they're doing marketing for food. One of the things that I am so grateful that we did is we not just took every single client that came through, but it didn't matter what industry they were in. We applied business and marketing principles and said yes, and let's grow it. So we didn't just stay inside food or, the health and fitness space. We dived into beauty. We dived into, men's barbering. I'm coming up blank with the different type of industries, but there's so many.
To footwear, we're familiar with the gym space, but we did that as well. We did quite a bit of consulting for businesses that we didn't necessarily run social media on a weekly basis for, but we might have done campaigns. So we were talking to people from paint, dent removal places, whatever it was, like mechanics, and so we were getting a fair bit of experience across like a wide range of industries. And the reason that we were confident in doing that is because business has very translatable principles from one industry to another. Of course, there's like differences between, various businesses, but there are like tried and true principles that you can apply across multiple different businesses. And if you understand those, it's going to give you a much better chance of, marketing those businesses.
Yep. So in the first 6 months of starting our marketing service, we had the 2 supplement stores, the pizza shop. We had like a men's grooming, like hair care product range. And then we had a teeth whitening business. Did you want to talk about kind of the things that we implemented in terms of like our pricing and our contracts for clients?
Yeah. So like especially with a business like the teeth whitening one, we're honest with like business owners when we take them on. We told them like, look, we think you're on the back of a trend at the moment. Like there's people like Conor McGregor and people like Kim Kardashian that are advertising these teeth whitening kits. For you to be jumping into the same space, trying to use the same platforms, don't think that this is going to necessarily happen easy for you. The amount of money that you're going to need to spend in a paid capacity when, the traffic highways are already full because people are paying to be there, it means that it's an expensive game to play. And so we were very transparent, but they had already bought the stock and they said, well, it's going to be better than what I'm currently doing. So, have a go. And so we did. And a lot of the businesses that we initially worked with, we were very upfront and said, look, this is not going to happen easily for you. I think it's really good to set the expectations in sort of an accurate way when you take on businesses, because they're spending money and they're really hoping for a financial return. And I think that's really something that a lot of creatives, a lot of digital agencies have never actually had to have as a responsibility placed on them. And eventually it will be. Eventually, as as AI gets better, as marketing sort of elevates and becomes a more established sort of part of just the way that everyone does business, you will have to eventually be responsible for some sort of financial metrics. And if you don't, you'll lose to the competition that are happy to actually take responsibility for results on board. So yeah, it's something that we were always transparent about. Like, put simply, sometimes it's hard to polish a turd. Like no one really wants to think of their business that way, but some businesses are extremely unattractive. They're not necessarily going to do well in the social space. But if you can polish a turd well enough, you can still do relatively well. And so a lot of the times not doing any social media is more dangerous than, doing it poorly. And so there is that part to it. And when I say doing it poorly, I mean doing it poorly in comparison to the other businesses that can be marketed in a much more effective way.
And another reason why businesses could be, I guess, doing social media marketing not in an effective way is for the business owner, not the actual customers, correct?
This is absolutely the biggest issue that I see with business owners entering the social media space and doing marketing. They are literally producing content for themselves. They are doing it as a flex. They're trying to make their business seem more expensive. They're trying to elevate their own ego through their marketing. And people's BS raters are high. Like, they will see this coming through. It comes across very inauthentic. And so you need to be producing content that is for your customer base. Like, so often I see, like, specifically in the corporate space, is there's managers that are, ticking the boxes off. We've got some KPIs that we need to hit. I need to produce a report for my manager. And if I can, put a pretty post up, then I can say that I've done this and, tick it off the list. It's like, you are wasting a lot of money by doing that. And you can actually be disconnected from your audience by putting that type of content out, especially if you do it in a frequent sort of way. Like, I don't know if you guys know, but like your stories on your social media feeds, they are coming up in the, what would you say? The order that they're coming up on is correlated with the way that you interact with your social media feed. So if you keep swiping off every single time that you see a business's or a page's stories because it's boring, then your feed will show you less of that. And so in that instance, you actually do have to be careful that not just doing, I guess, any social media has its risks, but doing it poorly for a consistent period of time also has risks. And so, yeah, like both things can be true at once. And so if you are producing what we would call corporate crap, which is just, putting out stuff that only makes your page look more pretty, you can be disconnecting from your followers, and it can make all future marketing a lot harder to actually produce results with. And that's one of the things that we've actually found as a challenge, like going on to what we would call stale pages and trying to get them to move again.
That was a massive thing that we ran into in our first year of doing the social media marketing business, is that a lot of the inquiries that were coming through were just business owners wanting to make their pages look good. And even though we had business and marketing principles and strategies, and we would say, we have to do this and this because it will drive traffic and inquiries, they would say, oh no, I want photos of my work. I want it to look like this. Yeah. So for me, especially being the creative, I want to produce results for the business, but the business owner just wants it to look nice.
Sometimes, yeah. Like, identifying the reason why someone is buying off you is one of the best lessons I've ever learned in business. And it's a classic mistake to misidentify the reason that someone's buying off you. So if someone just wants to elevate their personal brand, their personal profile to people by advertising their business in a certain way, by making their business look better, that could be the single reason that they're buying off you. It may not be any sort of financial metrics that you are likely to bring back to them. And so we have had multiple experiences where we've need to identify that so we could service the client in the way that they wanted to be serviced. Quite often, being in the small business space with our own marketing budget, we're about results. We take a very pragmatic approach to marketing, and often that wasn't resonating with the business owners. And so we had to change the way that we thought about this. Some clients will be serviced for the reason that they want to be serviced, and for those other businesses that want real results, we'll treat them and hopefully have the flexibility that we need to in actually order to drive those results. But we'll treat them in the way that we would treat one of our own businesses. And so, yeah, that was a really interesting part. Like, I was so much like in the business space thinking, if we can produce results for these people, why on earth wouldn't take us on? And it's just like, well, someone was producing a cinematographic video that made their business look so cool. And as I said, like, some people do really well at polishing turds, and people would go to that business and they would not be getting the experience that they thought they were going to get. And so you, again, causing a disconnect with your community. Like, if you're a business that services price-sensitive people, you're producing cheaper products and goods, trying to make them look more expensive and, more grandiose, that's not necessarily the way that you're going to connect with the people that are likely to purchase your goods. And so don't fall into that trap. If you're a local homegrown business and you're transacting on the fact that you're a family business, you're small, you're not as pretty as some of the big corporates or bigger players in the space, you can lean into that and it can actually be very effective.
Making sure that your business, your messaging and your marketing is congruent.
Yeah, it's actually aligning with what you're offering.
Yep. So at the end of the first year of 2020, we did have a couple of clients that stayed on with us, which is, looking back at it, I'm actually grateful that we didn't have the massive influx of clients pre-COVID, because that allowed us to, I guess, put together systems, test out different marketing strategies and campaigns with our own supplement stores that we could implement into other industries that, I guess, made sense.
Yeah, 100%. And I think one of the things that we came across is finding out how we could integrate different projects coming from different businesses in a given time frame. So if you look at it, I think you can refer to Gantt charts, and it looks at the timeline it takes to finish one project, what it would take to onboard another client at the same time, where your other deadlines finish, and then you can map out a 4-8 week period of how you can integrate all of these various sort of moving components and make sure that you're able to fulfill in each one of those. And so onboarding a client was way more costly in time than it was to service a current one. And so as much as you want to take on new business, if you do that ineffectively, then you can actually lose business. And one of the biggest things in our space is actually referrals from business owners. And so you want to make sure that you're actually doing it in the right way. Controlling growth is an essential part about growing business in a sustainable manner. And so, yeah, that was something that we had to learn pretty quickly. We were learning on the fly how to take on a business, how to onboard another business, keep both clients happy. And, as always, we've jumped into businesses quite quickly. And so we end up learning on the go. And what these lessons essentially need from us is just more hours. And so you were working 10, 12, 14-hour days quite consistently, even though the amount of clients that you've got now is far greater than what you were working with then, but the actual amount of work that it was caused by doing things inefficiently meant that you were spending more time with less clients. And so, yeah, there are people that can run businesses very effectively, and sometimes you wonder how on earth can they be serving that many clients with that framework? That doesn't make sense. It's no, efficient people can get very efficient.
I mean, I'm grateful that I have you as someone that I work with, because I guess coming from the mighty macro business, all I knew is work until the job's done. I have all these tasks, just work until the job's done. And I brought that mindset into the marketing business, hence why Steve referred to that chart. Make sure you allow enough time for each business, whereas I just looked at it as okay, I have all these clients, I need to get all of that work done. And I'd be staying up super late, getting it all done. But that's what I was used to in the old business, working until everything was done.
Yeah. And so like it's something extremely basic, like bunching the businesses that we work together via suburbs. And so we had, at a stage, enough businesses where if we wanted to do things efficiently across the week, we could only go out to a certain suburb once. And so you might have 3, 4, 5 clients in the one suburb, and you would not service any other clients that are outside that suburb, simply because the traveling time would add up so much that it wouldn't make any sense over, say, a 2-week time frame. And so if you're spending half an hour going to and from a business and you've got 4 businesses to see, that quickly adds up. If you think about a day of work being 8 hours, not that any business person considers that a working day, but if you did consider an 8-hour working day a full day, the amount of time you spent traveling could mean that you're on the road for 8 hours over your week, when you could be cutting that down to 2 or 3 hours and gain yourself a full half day back. And so again, that means how many businesses you can then service changes based on how long you're spending on the road. And obviously doing the Mighty Macro meal business, you were very aware of making sure that your delivery routes were done in a way that saved you time. And so as much as you probably didn't identify the need to bunch your businesses together, I certainly did, because I was outside the business being like, when's T coming home from deliveries today? She only had 15 at 6 p.m. And we worked out, well, the way you go on your route really changes how long you spend on the road. And so again, these little lessons, you translate them over and you can become a lot more efficient. And that actually changed the likelihood that we would take on a new business. If you were in a particular suburb, chances are we would say yes if we could make it work. If you were a suburb that was, just not in alignment with the other businesses, it really got to a point where we're like, no, we can't take you on, because we would need to charge significantly more, because the travel time is a real cost to us. And a business time, like a business owner, doesn't consider your travel cost in the way that they see, the way that they value your service. But it's like, it makes a difference to us though. And so, it became that important.
Yeah, to give the listeners, I guess, an overview of like the marketing service that we have. So let's just say you're a business and you reach out and you say, hey, I want social media marketing. I want more people to know about my business. What can you do? So we offer businesses videography, photography, graphic design. We manage your social media pages. So that includes like Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok now. That TikTok's like a solid platform for us. And if you would like us to run any like ad campaigns, then we can do that as well. So usually we meet up with a client once a month. We create all the content that's in line with your products and services and businesses. We edit that up and then manage those posts and ads throughout the month, and then meet up with you again for the next month. So what Steve was saying, by traveling out to the clients in the same areas, think about how many clients you would need to service and seeing them every 4 weeks. If you didn't space them out correctly, you'd be driving out almost every single week to the exact same suburb.
Yeah, and so more recently we've had something like 18 to 20 clients, and so if we live sort of in the Penrith area and we go as far as Parramatta, then 20 different businesses, 20 different locations. There's a lot of time you can be spending on the road, especially when they're 30, 40 minutes apart. And so it made a real difference. And as I said, a business owner is not necessarily going to be happy to pay more for your travel. And so that was a part that we sort of integrated into the decision-making process when taking on new clients.
Yep. So not only did we have to get a contract in place, our pricing right, reach out to clients, put in systems to facilitate these clients, but also manage our time. At the end of the first COVID lockdown, I think, was that the end of 2020?
Maybe, yeah.
Because we were consistent with our clients during that time, other people started to reach out to those clients and say, hey, who's doing your social media? And that's when we actually started getting a lot of inquiries at the end of the first lockdown, because all of these businesses were like, we didn't do marketing through the whole first lockdown. Now we have no customers that we're opening up. So we need to be doing marketing. And that's where some of our, I guess, long-term clients now are still with us and where they came from.
Yeah, so one of the important things that you said there was the actual contract that we put in place, and that was from the get-go. So being a business owner, one of the most important things you can do is spend time thinking of the small things that have potentially large consequences Whereas I think most business owners spend large amounts of time thinking about issues that have little to no consequences when you start to look at, the actual sustainability of a business or the profitability of a business. And so a contract being put in place was something that not only protected the business owners that we were working with, so that we weren't going to just go work with a competitor in their space. Like, we gain insights when we're working with a business. We want to learn about the business so we can market it effectively. And so we certainly weren't going to just walk into a competitor, and our contract states that. And so one of the other things it did was protect us. And so you could imagine your reputation of your business can fall away pretty quickly. I think if you look at Bud Light right now, they would wish that someone else was doing their marketing. And the consequences for poor marketing or just marketing that is not in the right context can be really large. And so one of the things we needed to do was protect ourselves from that consequence, because sometimes things are outside of our control. So if we were doing marketing for a steakhouse and we put up this beautiful steak that was juicy, and we said it was come from this particular cow and it was aged and there was marbling, and we thought it was an amazing post, but then a whole bunch of vegans jump on board and started tearing it to shreds and saying how that business was a bunch of murderers, that could really damage the business or make the business owner feel not too secure about the marketing that they're doing. And so we needed a protection against that as well, because that's an uncontrollable. Obviously, we don't do anything that would put us at heightened risk, but that's something that was uncontrollable. And I knew that we needed that in place at an early stage. And as much as that's a protection for us and not a protection for the business owners that we're working for, I think they actually looked at that and go, oh, these guys actually are taking consideration for the risks that are involved here. And so they're actually probably going to be more cautious than someone that isn't coming with a contract for that. They've identified that this is a real issue. And again, this is business acumen. It's understanding the position that the business owner that you're about to work for is in. And when you can articulate that message correctly to them, that will install confidence. And so for young creators, young people that are doing digital agencies, you need to get business acumen under your belt so that you can translate the value that you're able to give to that business owner effectively, and you're able to protect yourself, and you're able to add real sustainability to the business that you're working in.
So one of the things that started to happen is we got a lot of inquiries, and we started getting on quite a few clients, and all different industries. We had footwear, we had gyms, obviously our supplement stores, like a barber shop. We even had a local council area on board us as well, again, off the back of a referral. And then even bigger clients like Parkley Markets and the Athlete's Foot.
Yeah, that was really cool. And obviously when you're a small digital agency and you're doing pizza shops and cafes, when Parkley Markets, reaches out to you, or Athlete's Foot, it's a really cool thing. And it obviously means that your work is being valued and it's being noticed. And it just so happens that they were probably two of the bigger names that we were working with. And when we started with them, this was when we were really getting into, I guess, our stride of being able to put effective marketing pieces that were really engaging up. And so within 12 weeks of working for the Athlete's Foot, maybe within the first 6 posts, we had one video go into the millions of views. I think one particular post on Instagram, I think, reached something like 6.7 million views. And then that same post on TikTok reached 5.1 million views. And so what that told us was, these are obviously completely different platforms. It was the actual content piece that was good. And so when we started to break down what are the components that made this video good, the chance that it was going to have a sort of a viral effect, what are the interest points, what are the marketing hooks, why on earth did this work on both platforms? That's when we really started to understand, okay, there's a structure to the way that reels should be made. And I think that was probably the first time we were like, oh, okay, we've come across something here that we really need to integrate into the marketing across all of the businesses that we work for. And again, sometimes some businesses are going to be easier to do this than others. But yeah, we've actually had quite a few of the businesses like Athlete's Foot, Parkley Markets, the town centre had a few go relatively viral.
It was our barbershop
the barbershop
videos and our enhanced videos.
Yeah.
So before we took on, I guess, Parkley Markets and Athlete's Foot and some of our bigger clients, we started experimenting more with TikTok and video content. Now, depending when you're listening to this, you would probably know that people jump onto a viral trending sound online, do a little pointing dance, and they're like, cool, I'm going to get heaps of views.
Yeah.
Obviously, we are a lot smarter with our marketing and business strategy than just doing pointing videos to a trending sound. What we do is we kind of have a formula of the content pieces that we put out, especially video at the moment.
Yeah.
We make sure that there's a hook. We make sure there's a purpose. We make sure that we, I guess, pick trending things from the market. So, for example, what type of text people are using, what angles people are using, what tone of voice they're using, how they're bringing it across in terms of their messaging and their speech.
Yeah, and aligning the business with that as well. I think that's where a lot of people go wrong. They actually disconnect the type of trend that they're using with the business that they're trying to integrate into it.
Yeah, so even though we might put out, a 20-second video of a business owner saying a few lines, there's a lot of thought that goes into that video, which is why it reaches, 50K, 100K, like multiple hundreds of views on the platforms.
Yeah.
And when we started experimenting with that with the enhanced supplement stores, because they're our own.
We can try them first.
Yep, we tried them first and we started seeing some really big results. So then we moved it over to our barbershop, which I think is probably one of my favorite clients to do. Like,
it's just so fun.
I love all my clients, but I never thought doing marketing for like a boys barbershop would be my favorite. So if you look online now, you'll see a lot of barbers just taking photos of, before and afters, or
just putting up fades.
They're sick fades, which is usually on like a hair that's black because it looks better.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much all they do.
Again, like just to like connect the dots for people, if you go up and get people that have amazing hairlines, that are dark hair, your fades are going to look sick in a picture. But there's a whole bunch of the market that don't have black hair, that have different hairstyles that might not look as good. And so you're looking to put your best work out. This is a flex. You're putting the content out for you. If you go put the content out that's actually going to resonate with the customer base that you're trying to pick up, your content will look different. When you make content for the market, it will look very different. It's coming from a completely different perspective.
Yeah. So looking at it, you would think, okay, cool, barbershop. How would I do marketing with that? Well, I would show the haircuts that they've done. I would show the barbers cutting hair, and that's how we would attract customers. But the time that we took on the barbershop, there's so many barbershops. So Steve and I looked at it and thought, how can we stand out?
Because we don't cut hair. I mean, we didn't actually have much context of that particular business. And so I was asking them, I'm like, so tell me, like, where are you guys getting customers? You guys are making some bookings here. Why on earth is someone making a booking at a barbershop? And to some people, they'd be like, well, obviously, if they're time poor. It wasn't always just that. It was actually people were driving 30, 40 minutes to come see their barber. I'm like, what? Like, I've never been a person that was going to wait 30, 40 minutes for a haircut. It's just like, oh, the barber down the street's like free. I'll go there. And so I've kind of come across this whole culture of people like not wanting to cheat on their barber, and they were happy to wait hours on end. I was like, this is ridiculous. I'm like, why is someone waiting like 40 minutes, or why is someone booking in, or why is someone paying $50 for a fade? And they're like, because it's me, bro. Like, they're coming to see me, like the barber. And when I worked that out, I was like, oh, so fades can look pretty similar from one barber to another. They're not actually just coming to you because of just your ability to cut their hair. They're coming because they have some sort of relationship with you, or because they trust you with their hair, or because they have a relationship with you. I'm like, if this is more about relationships, I'm like, that needs to be at the heart of the marketing. We need to get people to resonate with these barbers before they ever step foot in this shop. If the whole cheating on your barber thing is real, it means because you've developed a relationship with them, it's hard to develop a relationship with a new barber, and that's a part of the barrier to entry. Well, let's remove that barrier by getting people to resonate with the actual people in the shop. And so that's where the line of thinking came, to start doing conversational pieces that gave insights to the barbers as people, not just their ability to cut hair. And it took off.
Yeah. One of the things you're probably thinking, okay, cool. Well, I'll just film the barber talking about himself and how he cuts hair. No. So what we decided to do is we would mic up the barber and just go in and start filming him, kind of like a vlog. Just start filming him, asking him questions, and it just took off. I will say Anthony is very good in front of camera.
He's good, yeah.
So he did have that advantage, but we wanted the marketing pieces of content to come across in like a raw way. So none of it's faked. We don't talk about the conversations that we have before, because they're like Western Sydney guys. Like, you want that personality to come out. You want their like slang to come out. You want their kind of little...
Their vibes, their banter.
Yeah, to come out. And all I have to make sure is that I get their banter on camera and then I market that out. And people have been...
loving it. Yeah.
Loving it.
It's the dynamic in a barbershop. Like half the reason you go is for the chat that you had with them.
Yes.
So that's a shout out to Crown Barbershop, taking the boys from the West from a 6 to a 9, one fade at a time.
That's the bio we put in the TikTok profile. Just because, again, doing social media marketing, you want that page of that business to, I guess, come across in...
You want to resonate with people.
Yeah,
it's funny. We're calling ourselves a 6, but, we can take you to a 9.
Exactly. So that obviously worked with the supplement stores with our supplements, more conversational pieces, more casual, not coming across as selling. Then we implemented that into the Crown Barbershop. And then we started implementing it into our bigger clients like Athlete's Foot and Parkley Markets. All of our video pieces aren't super polished because, again, we're on social media. We want to resonate with people.
Yeah, people pick up marketing real fast. It's actually one of the challenges that we have with our enhanced supplement stores. And so the default position that someone's going to have watching our content is this is a retail store. They're about to sell to me. And that's because businesses, all they do is try and sell. Like marketing falls into both sales and branding. And sales is any sort of direct method that you're looking to increase sales as a result of. And branding is almost not asking for the sale at any point in time and doing things that lifts the position of the business, creates memorable moments, and creates an engaging community. And we essentially do that off the back of education and entertainment. We rarely talk about sales. We'll do sales twice a year as a retail store. We generally don't do Black Friday sales. We don't do heavy end of financial year sales. We'll sometimes touch on it. We do a birthday sale, maybe an end of financial sale. We don't do Christmas sales, Easter sales, Cyber Monday sales. We don't play that game because we're not in it to just like consistently push out sales. We have a permanent price peak guarantee across our stores so that our community can always get the cheapest prices, but they don't want to be continuously marketed to just like a magazine. It's just like, guys, we've moved on from like that style of marketing. I mean, at least we have. But yeah, it's just not what resonates with people anymore. And if you're truly trying to build brand, you will limit the amount of sales-based marketing that you do.
Unless one of our clients is trying to sell like a reduced like item or something is on sale, we won't do direct sales marketing. All of our marketing for a majority of our clients is branding.
Yes. And often we'll have to display the products and the services because a lot of the time the business owner is not going to feel like they're getting any sort of return or the marketing is not direct enough for them to feel secure. Again, this comes back to the reason that they're hiring us, identifying the reason the business is buying from you. And so, yeah, the other businesses we can't do in the same way that we do Enhance, but some of them have allowed us to, and they've done really well off the back of it.
Yes. It gets really exciting when a client gets us on board to do their marketing and they say, I want my marketing this way. And obviously, like we spoke about at the beginning of this, we understand why that business owner wants us on. They want their social media pages to look nice, which is fine.
Yeah.
And we're upfront about that and we'll tell them that. But it's once they start seeing the results we're getting for other clients, which obviously every time I see them, I say, oh, like maybe we could do this, maybe we could do that. It's at the point when they say, hey, let's start doing those like branding videos
that you were suggesting before.
And once we start doing those, then they see they have seen significant growth.
And we've just started working with a non-for-profit, the MAF organization. And essentially these guys are like the Uber of the sky. They are like planes that deliver medical supplies, education, doctors, whatever people in an isolated community might need. These guys are facilitating that. It's an amazing business. Like they've, helped bring in people that were going to develop like water systems for people in Africa so that they could, not need to travel kilometers on end to get to fresh water. There's been times where, a certain area might be like mosquito infested and like a bunch of disease can come off the back of that. And so they've helped out with nets so that people can go to sleep and not have to worry about that happening. So there's these are like very limited, few examples of the stuff that they're doing, but it's awesome. And we've really enjoyed working for, I guess, a non-for-profit that's really out there doing cool things. But branding was one of the things that we really said to them. We're like, no one knows who you are. Like, no offense, but if you're out here doing things like you're doing, that's amazing. You are sitting on absolute gold. You just need to share those messages with people, and you need to, resonate with a customer base that's a little bit younger than what you're currently resonating through, doing magazine drops and things of that sort. And so they were really actually welcoming to this sort of new perspective. And, when you go start a new social media page, I mean, like 12 weeks ago, with 0 followers, it's hard to get followers nowadays. Like, consumer behavior is they're happy to view videos, maybe like them, but they're not ready to sign up and say, I'm going to follow you, because they don't want their news feed necessarily flooded with, new like people. They want to see the people that they're currently following, and it's hard to add like a new person to that you want to follow, because how would you describe that? Your news feed just gets more and more cluttered, yeah. And so we've done really well with that. But one of the things that's happened in the social media space at the moment, which if you're a small business owner, you need to like take this seriously. They refer to it as the TikTokification of the algorithm. So there was large amounts of people migrating over from Facebook and Instagram to TikTok because the entertainment factor on there was so great that people were getting engaged and spending really long periods of time because the content was awesome. In other words, marketers hadn't ruined it yet, where like your feeds just become, magazine copies. And so the TikTokification of these algorithm means they've become interest-based instead of based off following. So if you were someone with a 50,000 follower base, your content was already going to get much larger reach than if you had 300. And almost it felt like if you had 300, there's almost no point in marketing because you're reaching hardly any people. The amount of effort you had to put in was just really not attractive with the results that you were likely to get. But with these changes in the algorithm that Instagram and Facebook have now adopted as a result of knowing that they're losing viewership on their platforms to TikTok, it means that the content is now going to go viral based on interest. How good is the content? How much do people actually want to watch it? And so when we let, this corporate organization, or non-for-profit, but corporate organization know about this, we said, you guys got to execute now if you actually, want to put some runs on the board. And so again, started off with 0 following. We produced, a handful of videos, maybe 12 videos, and one of them goes viral. Actually, well, it depends what you call viral. We call viral over 100,000 views, but we're consistently producing videos that get over 10. So we don't really see that as viral anymore. But, technically you could see that from 10,000 views and more and 100,000 views and more. We would say 100,000 and more is viral. Anything less, great performing video, but we wouldn't give it the V tick. And so we had something that reached 120,000 people, and they were like, wow, for the money that we spend on doing other marketing, this has reached far more people for a much smaller cost in a much more engaging way. And so after we were able to do that, I think they actually really saw the potential of it. We did produce another 4 or 5 videos before that, which reached 10, 20,000 people, which is obviously, like if you're given 12 posts for a new business to put some real runs on the board and you can get 10,000 views off, a follower of 30 people, people will take you seriously. But the thing is we haven't done this once, we've done this many times. And so this interest-based algorithm that is currently playing out and will probably continue to play out for quite some time means that if you're a business with a small following base, there is no better time than to start taking your marketing seriously, like right now, like yesterday, because you can get disproportionate results. You no longer need to have a massive following. You can achieve real virality if the content pieces are engaging to the audience. And so this has been amazing for us because we were late to the party with our own businesses in terms of gaining a social media following. And now we're able to, get 100,000 views with 2,000 people following us. And as I said, it's much harder to get people to follow nowadays, but you don't even need that anymore. So that's been a real critical part to our business. And it's changed the way that we've, approached marketing as a whole.
Yep. And you and I didn't come into the social media marketing space knowing how to put together videos. It's because It's because we see what the market is reacting to and what the market wants, and we implement that in a strategic way.
Yeah. And I've spent a fair bit of time researching consumer behavior. So as an example, it was a marketer that came to doctors and said, if you've got a course of antibiotics that have 12 pills in them, you need to make 10 of them white and 2 of them blue. And when you tell people to take the course, you tell them to take 10 antibiotics that are the white ones. And once you've completed that, take the 2 blue ones. Now, these antibiotics are the exact same ingredients, but the adherence rates to finishing an antibiotic course, which is actually quite important, increased massively because there was something in consumer behavior that said the 2 blue ones, I need to get to the end. This is the milestone. This is the thing I need to do. It's not complete in my mind. Do I finish those 2? What if I completely don't get rid of my virus and then I take those 2 extra strong ones or those 2 extra ones? Maybe that's marking the absolute killing of the virus that I've got inside of me. And so consumer behavior actually changed the way that people consumed antibiotics. And so there was a marketer that influenced that decision. And there's so many things that we understand that have a consumer behavior sort of undertone, which gets implemented into our marketing. And that's why we're able to actually have that extra layer of competence that we integrate into the marketing. And so consumer behavior, it's a real thing. And if you can understand it, you'll do well off the back of it.
And once the market moves away from videos, then we'll move that way as well.
Yeah, we'll be dynamic. Like when you're a marketer, not just a social media content creator that loves creating content, which is absolutely nothing wrong with. When you're a marketer, you just go to where the attention is. If billboards become really cheap, I'll be there. Trust me, you'll see billboards.
Media will have a billboard service.
If we can facilitate that level of clients. But maybe some of our clients might have a billboard up. But yeah, we're certainly not romantic just about social media marketing. It just happens to be the platforms that are currently the best to advertise on.
So if we bring it back to, I guess, the stage in merchant media, once we started getting like a decent amount of clients on and we were producing a lot of results, it came to the point where the demand outweighed our ability to facilitate.
Yeah. And so
again, another trend like in the mighty macro business.
Yeah, and I guess we're blessed with enough with the problem of having too many clients. Like I know some people are thinking, I wish I just had some more clients. You guys are telling us about the problems of having too many, but it does become sort of an issue because you want to facilitate like clients in the right way. And so if you want to maintain the quality of your work, you either have to increase the size of your team, increase your prices and watch some of the volume drop back off, or change structures so that you can become much more efficient and you're able to deal with more clients. But for us, we tried to bring a few people on that were juniors and teach them the ropes, and we didn't really kind of find the right fit. Quality is subjective. Like when you're creative, there are very particular ways that you want to do things. There are content creators that do cinematographic videos that look at our stuff and go, that's rubbish. Because when you want to compare the level of effort, the transitions, how cool the angles are, the amount of work that gets put into a cinematographic piece, it is. We are producing lesser quality pieces if the purpose for that marketing was to be cinematographic. And there are certain businesses like brands of clothing and whatnot, they need that cinematographic style of marketing. But for us, as you said, we want to have things that don't look polished because we want large amounts of engagement and consumption for the purposes that business has given us. And so we try and match business acumen, business objectives with the marketing that we're doing. And we know if things look too polished, they're just not going to get the type of engagement if we tried to make a cinematographic piece for a business that does not need that. And so, finding the right type of marketing approach for the business that you're working with is important.
Once you get to a certain level of like success, people start saying, well, what's next?
Yeah.
Are you going to grow it? You're going to grow it into an agency. You're going to go international. You're going to do this.
Open up a retail front, like expand like the service offerings. I think we're both on board with this. Like I think we want this business to be of a certain size that we really still enjoy what we're doing. We may have clients that have bigger names that we'll bring on in the future, but we won't take on large volumes of work because we want to offer the type of service that we want to offer. We're capping the growth of the business based on our subjectivity in terms of what we think is quality and what we're trying to achieve. But we're doing it for something that fits our lifestyle, something that is going to, I guess, require a similar level of overheads, a similar structure to what we're currently operating in. And that's a decision we've taken. But knowing that is really important. So many businesses, they fall into the trap of trying to expand too quickly, or, taking barbecue business advice on, when you're around a barbecue and people start offering you business advice. What's next? Have you thought about doing this? Have you thought about doing that? We aren't looking to expand this particular business in any sort of significant way. I actually think I would enjoy running like a larger scale digital agency, but T doesn't want to, and she is the talent in this situation. And so I'm more than happy to keep working with the brands that we hold, the businesses that we have, and improving upon that and offering a high level of quality service for the time that we work with them, which seems to be a long period of time. Like the clients that we've got have stayed on. Like the majority of people that we work with now stayed on for more than 2 years. And so if you're a business owner being like, oh, I don't know if I'd spend money on like marketing, like, is it really worth it? The business owners that we're working with have paid us every single week for more than 2 years, because the value that we're offering, the value that these businesses get from us is greater than what they're paying, which is not a bad dynamic. So many times I think people spend way more in marketing compared to the value that they actually get. And so we're happy with the dynamic that we're currently working with.
And we're always adapting to what our clients need as well, which I think is a massive benefit for us. And so it's been like around 3 years now that we've been in the social media marketing space. We obviously have like a full book of clients, and then the non-for-profit wants to take us on for even more work, which brings the challenge of decreasing our client size to be able to facilitate. So it got to the point where we decided to try and go down the agency route.
Yeah, we partnered with a lady named Chantel, who's awesome, and we thought we could kind of build out a team underneath her. And we kind of got to the point where we thought, you know what, like this actually might not be something we want to do. And so we never want to leave anyone high and dry. Like we've obviously started a relationship with her for that purpose of doing that. And so we were happy to give her, a decent portion of clients, which would essentially give her a business to work from. And that's kind of the way that we do business. Again, back to that 5149, we're happy to give people more than what we take for them, because we're here to be in business for a long time. And offering people more value than you take is a good way to stay in business for a long time.
Yeah, 100%. And I guess, what do you see the future of merchant media marketing being at this current time? So now that we've, I guess, decreased some of our clients to facilitate this non-for-profit that we're working for, which is going to be like a huge chunk of our time, I guess, what's the future of merchant media?
I think there is sustainability in being small. I used to have the opinion that if you weren't growing in business, then you were essentially shrinking. Your competitors were going to essentially take market share off you until you became irrelevant. But I think growth happens in different ways. And so I think we can keep upskilling ourselves and being dynamic as a small business, where we can actually do a really good job for some bigger name brands with the structure that we currently have. Like often the digital agencies get very equipment heavy, very like labor heavy to produce big shoots, which are actually not needed for the type of marketing that occurs on social media platforms. So I think staying small, dynamic, upskilling ourselves is actually what we want to use to be sustainable. But I also think that we'll take on, brands and product-based or service-based businesses that we'll own and I guess use the marketing business as something that we can actually achieve business growth as well. So I think it will always serve two purposes for us. But yeah, I want to experiment in the e-com side of things, because we've had a decent taste of the paid platforms and running campaigns for businesses, but we haven't had like a single sort of product that we've experimented with in the e-com space. However, that might change very shortly.
A product may be coming soon. In future episodes, we're going to talk about, I guess, our formula and how we put together what we would call like a viral video or a piece of content that has the ability to go viral. And in future episodes, we'll break down like our really successful videos and how we structured those. But one thing that we have been doing in merchant media marketing is we've been offering our marketing consulting. Did you want to touch a little bit on that? And I guess some of the ideas you've given to like the dent removal guy and the pool guy as well? They're good examples.
So yeah, I guess that was some of the business advice I gave when we were first starting off, which I can touch on. But when I did some business consulting with that third party that was a part of a government scheme to help small businesses out, I'd sat down with a lot of small businesses. And so you're gaining market context, not just in the Western Sydney space, but across multiple industries. You're really finding out challenges that businesses are dealing with. And if you're able to help with that and then get the feedback to see where that's helped, that's real valuable insights, because I'm doing it via volume. Because the business owner didn't have to pay for that consulting. It was a government scheme. And so that's really helped me. And it's helped me to gain a perspective and to offer advice that I probably wouldn't have given if I only had my single sort of cell phone business experience. Because often the experience that you gain from being in business has its own little nuances. Like, I think there's different levels of credibility when you look at advice. I think there are people that do it, via what I would call a claim to fame. They say, I know someone that's been in business, they did this and it worked, and they can give you advice sort of on that plane. They're referring to someone that they sort of know. I think there's people that have done business themselves but not yet helped anyone else, and they can give advice. I think there's then people that have done business themselves successfully and helped other people in a given industry, something they feel like comfortable with. And then I think there's a level of advice where there's a business owner that has had successes, had failures. They've taught other people who have also been successful. It's been across multiple different industries, and they've had a decent volume of that work, that type of consultancy, where they can give you a really level-headed sort of piece of advice that has multiple layers of context. And I mean, not to say I offer the highest level of credibility and advice, but I think that is where I'm sitting. I have a lot of context to work with. Now, there are people that are absolute, gurus in the space, multimillionaires, which have elevated themselves far beyond the success that, I could even, I think even hope to have. I think the probability that there are people in business that can achieve those levels of success are slim. So I think there is a probability or a luck aspect to that. But yeah, some of the advice that I would be offering is with multiple layers of context from a small business perspective. I'm not giving, real large corporate advice here. I haven't spent any time in the corporate environment. I'm dealing with a non-for-profit corporate at the moment, but it's in the non-for-profit sector, which changes the dynamics. And so I've been able to help in that space as well. But back to, I guess, advice that I've given. In the early stages when we started Merchant Media, we had people like paint dent removal people that had pool cleaning businesses. We're talking like owner-operated, very small businesses. And I remember one of the guys, his name was Connor, awesome dude. He was working in a business, I think it was maybe like a lifeguard or something in the pool space.
It was a pool shop, I think.
No, I think he was working for an actual swim place. Oh. I think he might have been doing maintenance on the pools, but I think he was actually doing lifeguard, because I remember doing a nutrition plan for him. He was burning so many calories each day. And I think he started experimenting doing private jobs where he was cleaning residential pools. And he came to me, he goes, you're in the marketing space. What advice do you have? And I said, well, there's a real special thing about your business. One of the things that can be hard to do in business is find out where your customers are. You can very easily find out where your customers are. And so if you know where they are, then market to them directly. And he's like, what do you mean? My customers are people that have pools. I don't know, they're in residential areas. And I'm like, no, jump onto Google Maps, zoom in and find out who has pools, and then go drop a flyer to them directly. Or if you know that these people might not have someone cleaning their pools, which is who you're looking for, then where do they need to go if they want their pool cleaned? To a pool cleaning shop. And so go to the shops and say, is pool cleaning a service that you currently offer? Can we work out some sort of subcontracting service here? Or can I give you a referral fee for everyone that you give to me that actually joins on? And very quickly he had every single space time allotment filled in his business. He left his job and went and did it full time, and was making proper coin. I actually didn't know how much coin you can make in the pool cleaning space. And so that was really cool. I was just like, maybe I'm in the wrong business. For the dent removal guy, I'm like, so when do you most get your work? He's like, oh, well, when people get chips and stuff in their car. I'm like, okay, let me help you out here. when there's roadworks, you obviously have like a lot of like little gravel and stuff that jumps up, and that is part of the thing that causes minor, needs for dental paint, dent repair. And the other time is probably off the back of hail, right? That'd be two major areas. So I'm like, when it hails, find out where it's hailed and run ads for the next week that you can do some hail damage there. Find out where the workspace, like the roadworks areas are, and run ads around those areas. Like, these are where your clients are going to be. So finding out where your clients are and marketing to them directly is a good practice to have in business. And so that might have been the level of advice that I was starting at that point in time. Now, when we're like, working with bigger clients, we start to look at, how you segment a market, how you find various niches. One of the things about social media is you're not running a billboard, you're not running a magazine, you don't have one marketing message for one piece. It's not one TV ad where you're trying to broadly market to a lot of people. You can create individual pieces for individual niches that resonate with those niches well. And so put out a volume of content that can resonate with each one of those niches. And so now we look at market, what we call psychographics. It's not just demographics. It's not just their age, their height, their weight, their gender, their location, maybe their income bracket. It's their interests. Someone that's into camping may also be into boats. They may also be into buying eskies. They may also be into drinking beer. Find out the interests that go along with that particular niche and market to them through psychographics, resonate with them. And so we were looking to do some work with a corporate client that was looking to have us on and help with their hiring of people. One of the people that they wanted to hire was engineers. And like, they was like saying, okay, like, is this something you can help with? And I said, well, absolutely, but I need to go and find out about engineers. I'm not just going to like roll something out. I want to find out what is it that makes an engineer tick, because you'd be making a mistake to think that they think, just the same as everyone else. Like, when you look at clinical psychology, one of the things that stands out amongst engineers is they are much more interested in things than people, generally speaking. And so if these guys have mechanical minds that are wanting to see how all these sort of parts work and fit together, the way that you're going to resonate with someone like that is very different to like the beauty industry, for example. That could be, trading on emotional sort of metrics that you need to take into account. And so, yeah, the marketing advice that I would now give has like deeper layers of context. I want to find out if we actually do drive business towards you, can you guys facilitate that? We've been a part of businesses that have grown too quickly and caused us some real problems. And, often that's not something a business owner will think about. They're like, no, we need more sales. We're not thinking, can we handle more sales? And so, yeah, the advice that I guess I now give has so many more layers of context.
That was a whole lot in an episode, but I think we should probably leave it there.
Yeah, maybe we'll focus on, I guess, sort of the nuances and some in-depth marketing tactics and more like consumer behavior and stuff that we've kind of learned along the way. But that might not be in the next episode. Maybe we'll bring someone else on and give you a break from T and Steve.
All right, see you in the next episode. Cut. Thank you.